Welcome to Tithe Lies, the place where you can get the biblical truth about tithes and offerings. My brothers and sisters, I am rebooting some of my old content, putting all of my tithing videos onto one channel. So some of this stuff is old. So grade me on the curve for the technology, okay? But the content is still on point.
Hi, I'm Eric Hill, and I'm the author of the book, What Preachers Never Tell You About Tithes and Offerings, the End of Clergy Manipulation and Extortion. Today's topic is, there is no such thing as a biblical money tithe. Now, here is the crux of this whole teaching. Tithe preachers tell you that even though there is no example in the law, Old Testament law, or even in the Gospels during the life of Jesus, of anyone paying tithes in money, they say the reason there is no example of people paying tithes in money is because they did not have any money. And surely if they had money, they would have paid tithes in money. Now, of course, the reason they say this is because we point out to them very clearly that in the Old Testament, tithes were edible items because the edible items represented Jesus Christ. Tithe preachers don't want edible items, they want cash. Because when they pay their bills, they can't send 5 pounds of carrots. They can't send a lamb. They need money. Okay? And so they're trying to dream up ways to justify getting money from us, even though there is no example of money tithes in the Bible. Okay, so here's what I want to do. I want to show you that in the Old Testament, under the law, and even before the law, and in the Gospels, in the time of Jesus, there was a fully developed money economy. And if it was fully developed, a money economy that is, and they did not pay tithes in money, you need to ask yourself, why didn't they? Could it have been because God did not tell them to pay in money? He told them explicitly that it was to be in edible items. Okay, so here we go. Let's look at some of these places. Now, in Leviticus 27 and 30, Leviticus 27 and 32, Deuteronomy 12 and 17, on Deuteronomy 14:23, these are all places where God explicitly told Israel what he would accept as a tithe. The tithe does not simply mean 10%. Tithe in a biblical sense means 10% of what God demands. You know, when the IRS says, give me 10% of your money, you can't give them 10% of your groceries. And when God says, give me 10% of your cattle, you can't give him 10% of your money. You can't make up your own rules. Okay, let's look at some of these scriptures that will fully prove that Israel had a money economy.
If the modern financial tithe system is of God, it should pass the test of light. I'm looking for people to interview, to tell me about their experience tithing. Has it been a blessing or has it been a curse? Drop me a line at tithelies@yahoo.com.
All right, let's go as far back as Abraham in Genesis 13:2. We're told that Abraham was very, quote, very rich in livestock and silver and gold. Obviously, he could use the livestock to trade in a barter economy, but what good would silver do? With silver and gold in a moneyless economy. Let's look at something else. So we see two places where Abraham either received or spent money. In Genesis 20:16, King Abimelech gave him 1,000 pieces of silver. And in Genesis 23:12 through 18, we break into the middle of a monetary price negotiation for land that Abraham wanted to purchase. Now listen to this. Quote, then Abraham bowed himself down before the people of the land, and he spoke to Ephraim in the hearing of the people of the land, saying, quote, if you will give it, please hear me. I will give you money for the field. Take it from me, and I will bury my dead there. And Ephraim answered Abraham, saying to him, quote, my Lord, listen to me. The land is worth 400 shekels of silver. What is that between you and me? So bury your dead. End of quote. And Abraham listened to Ephraim, and Abraham weighed out the silver for Ephraim, which he had named in the hearing of the sons of Heth. They were witnesses. 400 shekels of silver, currency of the merchants. Notice that the merchants had currency. Now, let's look at something else here. In Genesis 33:19, Jacob purchased land for 100 pieces of silver. Genesis 37:28, Joseph was sold into slavery for 20 shekels of silver. Genesis 42, Joseph's brothers went to Egypt to buy food with silver. 2 Samuel 24:24, King David purchased property with 50 shekels of silver. Jeremiah 32:9, Jeremiah purchased property for 17 shekels of silver. Now, those are Old Testament examples of money being transacted. Okay. Now, what about in the time of Jesus? Supposedly, they didn't have a money society. If you listen to the tithe preachers. Now, listen to this. I'm just going to quote some scriptures from Matthew. I'm not even going to look at Mark, Luke, and John. Just Matthew. Here we go. Matthew 5:26. Jesus refers to the payment of money for a civil judgment. Matthew 10:9. Jesus refers to gold, silver, and copper being kept in the disciples' money belts. Money belts. Matthew 10:29. Jesus refers to the selling price of 2 sparrows being a copper coin. A coin. Matthew 17:27. Jesus refers to the use of money to pay the temple tax. Money to pay taxes. Matthew 18:24 and 28. Jesus refers to talents and denarii. These were measures of money, and these were to pay debts. Matthew 20th chapter, 2nd verse. Jesus refers to the payment of a denarius, a day, as payment for a temporary employee. Matthew 21:12. Jesus kicks out of the temple, quote, all those who bought and sold in the temple and overturned the tables of the money changers and seats of those who sold doves, end of quote. Matthew 22:19. Jesus refers to money being used as the Jews' means of paying Roman taxes. Matthew 25:27. Jesus refers to the practice of money being placed in banks to accrue interest. Listen, Matthew 25:27. Jesus refers to the practice of money being placed in banks to accrue interest. They had banks, they had money, they had interest. That's a money economy. Matthew 26:15, Judas conspires to betray Jesus for 30 pieces of silver. Now, what's the significance of all of this? The significance is this. Tithe preachers have told us that surely people would have paid tithes in money in the Old Testament and in the time of Jesus if they had money. I have shown you that they had money and they had a fully developed money system. The reason why they did not pay tithes in money is because God did not want tithes in money. Tithes represented Jesus Christ. Read Hebrews 7 chapter, 8 chapter. Tithes represented Jesus. And so you cannot just give God anything you want. Now, what are you going to do with this knowledge? Now that you see that your tithe preacher has either made a horrible mistake or he has been lying to you. Just a little something to make you think.